I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. New York City's, the impossible just happened. The Nets just flogged the Indiana Pacers. Let's talk basketball. So, the Brooklyn Nets have the audacity to show up and beat the Indiana Pacers. And now let's not lie to the people. The Indiana Pacers are on a 3-game losing streak. They have been a nemesis. They have been Nets killers. Am I right, Sam?
Oh yeah, I gave them no chance today, and I'm pleasantly surprised.
I bet $100 against them, and I don't even like betting for the Nets, but I know the team so well. I was like, you know what? It's Valentine's Day. Maybe I won a couple bucks, take the wife out to enjoy an evening. But I'm not mad losing 100 points if we're gonna see DeAndre Jordan rise like Mumra, the ever living, and drag his corpse up and down the court for only his second double of the year. But I'll take it. Pride. You want to see pride from a team that's reeling, and I like the fact that the Nets, won't let themselves lose a 3 in a row. And I give that win 100% to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving didn't scream on DeAndre Jordan during the game. Kyrie Irving likes to scream on the lesser known players, but Kyrie Irving didn't scream on DeAndre Jordan. But clearly there was some type of come to Jesus or locker room meeting or something, and DeAndre Jordan dragged his corpse out onto the floor and played pretty well. He didn't have a great game. He had a much better game. What we're gonna need from him if we're gonna be a competitor, but we won, and I can't be mad at that. Why did we win tonight?
I mean, look, they looked like a different team defensively, and I think that'll obviously be the major takeaway. My thing right now is, do we see this as an aberration, and 10 days from now we're going to be like, wow, like that Pacers game, like I guess everyone just like locked in all at the same time. Is it going to be more of an example of the boyfriend who's telling the girlfriend, like, yeah, I'd really love it if you work on this, and for the next 2 days she does it, and then you go right back, or is this actually going to be a sustained change? I mean, look,
a month later he's back at the strip club loose. Right. I know that guy.
Exactly. So that's the question. I mean, look, one way or another, it's good. Like, responding this way is good. Like, there's no other way to talk about it. And as you said off the top, which I think is the most important, it shows some level of pride.
Right.
Especially when you do this. I mean, this wasn't like, oh, they had to play 2 days later against the Hornets or something like that. This was a back-to-back. I get it was at home, but against a good team that always has the Nets number and who I'm like deathly afraid of usually.
Yeah, Sabonis usually has a career game against us, and we kind of neutralized them tonight.
And who I will admit, yesterday I made money in DraftKings because I played a ton of Pistons guys who all had career nights. And today I tried to double down on it by picking all Pacers guys, and they were all terrible because of how good the Nets defense was, which is fine. I'm happy to lose a couple of bucks that way, as you said off the top as well. But because that's what I was expecting. But look, I mean, like, you take it as a W, you build on it, and now they know like, and now at least we know this is possible. I mean, this wasn't like they held them to 108, which is better than 120. I mean, this was an under 100 game, which I didn't think I was going to see the whole year.
So it's a couple things. We've had one under 100 game. This is the lowest points 94 is the lowest we've held any team to. I think we had a 95 game was the lowest before tonight. But there's a few caveats, right? They not only did the Pacers outshoot us field goal wise, they not percentage, but they made 36 field goals to our 32. They even made 15 3-pointers to our 9. Where the Nets won this game is in a couple places. The key for the Nets in every single loss, if you look at the Nets' losses, all of them, we lose the points in the paint game. And the reason why I bet Indiana tonight is not necessarily because of our history with them, because it's an all new team. It's a whole new vibe at the Nets. But the reason why I picked them is because that team leads the NBA in points in the paint, leads the NBA in layups, and has the highest field goal percentage in that area. But inexplicably, I don't understand it. They shot 38 threes. They made 15. They made more than us, but they didn't go to the paint. They only scored 40 points in the paint. And they actually shot better from 3 than they did in the paint. They didn't take a lot of they settled for a lot of jump shots. And if you're gonna try to jump shoot with the Nets, you're gonna lose. You can't play horse with any of the Nets players. And at least the ones that play a lot of minutes. And it's like the coach didn't read the scouting report and basically played into our hands, but I will take it. And then the other place that they kind of that makes me worry that this is a little bit of gas and not reality is that they also shot 35 free throws. Because Indiana wasn't the regular Indiana, I do not understand this game plan that they came out with. They only shot 11 free throws. If you're a drive to the bucket team and you get zero, basically 7, they only scored 7 points off of free throws. 11 free throws in total for the whole game. The Nets shot 35. And not only did they shoot 35, but they made 31 of those. And I think Kyrie was a perfect Kyrie and James Harden was a perfect 27 for 27. So if you're going to get that, you're going to win, but you can't count on that every night. I want to say it's a new day. I want to say we turned the corner tonight, but I'm not sure. How do you see it, Sam?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think I think what you said at the top is the most important thing. It's that they responded. Nash is saying after the game, I'm just checking on Twitter, me and DeAndre, we got emotional with each other both during the game and after the game. Stuff got pretty intense. And the important thing is there was no explosion. They played a playoff team that they may have to face in the first or second round, and they did their business. And I don't think we need to look into the fact that there was a comeback, because whenever you're up by 30 something, this just happens. But
all teams make runs. All NBA teams go on runs. That's
exactly. And so look, look from that perspective, they beat a playoff team also without their best player, which also shouldn't go without being said.
Right. And we beat them by 120 if KD plays.
Right.
And that's another thing, not having him the past couple days has made things look worse, but even bringing him back doesn't fix the problems that are on the table. But what I will say is you have to feel good that and you know me, I don't like words like effort and all these, intangibles. The reason why they call them tangibles is because you can't really measure it, touch it, feel it, or whatever. um, uh, I believe in data, and if you look at the formula for every team, in every single Nets loss, it's all about the points in the paint. Go back and look at it. They're letting teams score points in the paint at a record pace, but what? Why focus on that when you could focus on what the good things that happen? Jeff Green, it's not in the box score. You don't see it, but just that little bit of physicality, like
Yep.
just that fact that he's there in the paint, and I have to ask more of the kind of tape watching Nets guys, but I saw a lot of zone, and that surprised me. And Jeff Green was really effective in the zone, and that kind of forced them to shoot a lot of mid-range two-pointers. Did you notice a difference in the defensive play calling?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked. Look, I'm always a fan when coaches switch things up, and I think a lot of coaches deciding to do that depends on how comfortable they are with the personnel being able to make switches. And I think like it to me, it's interesting that they kind of started doing moves like that usually end up being used for teams that are more comfortable with each other and have been around each other longer because it's just a more seamless transition. But look, I mean, like I'm down for. I mean, look, it couldn't get worse than yesterday defensively. So like I'm down for them to try. To try whatever. And I agree with you. Like, I mean, look, I thought in the third and fourth quarter, they started to give away more wide open threes. And I think, as we said, a lot of that was just because of what the score was. But yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm happy to, whenever Nash is doing things that are a little unorthodox, I'm happy to be seeing it.
No, and I liked what he had to say post game too. It's interesting to hear a coach say that guys are getting in touch with their feelings and very emotional. Look, DeAndre Jordan is fighting for his NBA career right now. Like He's at the twilight. He doesn't have much of a contract left, and these guys picked him. It's not like he showed up here like on a buyout contract or something like that. These guys gave up $10 million a year so that he could be here. And that being said, he's got to show up, and he's been garbage. In the second half, he kind of reverted. He missed the easy dunk.
Yeah.
His defense, they kind of figured him out. But again, like if we're gonna not only were they able to hold on, but they were able to hold a dominating lead, winning a game by 20. Shows it's not necessarily a fluke, but I don't think the Nets can ever count on 31 of 35 free throws on a nightly basis. But I'll take it. Again, like there's a lot to be fixed, but I'll take it.
The only good thing I will say is that from an offensive standpoint, because you're right, from the free throw perspective, the good thing is that they actually did shoot well. They shot 42% from the field and they shot 29% from three. So they actually had like a below average shooting game. So like, look, it got made up for with the amount of times they're going to the free throw line. But I think we can generally be happy. Like they clearly like gave like a B- C+ effort offensively and still just handed down a smack because of the way that they were playing defensively, which I think is what led to more foul calls being, as we saw like with Kyrie going to the line in transition constantly.
Right. And the other issue with this team is ever since they I'm talking about Indiana now, is like you can't really call this the Indiana of before because they traded some things for and Karras is hurt. They don't have Oladipo. So they're a little bit in transition themselves. But again, this is a team that goes to the bucket. They didn't for whatever reason. I'm gonna give the credit to Steve Nash and the zone that he ran, not exclusively and not a lot. I think it might have been like 5 or 10% of the time. I wish people gave stats like that. Like,
Yeah.
what defense was you in? Were you in, and what percentage of the time were you in that?